Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So we're now beginning our lessons at the mosque as we were doing before COVID. And alhamdulillah, everybody's here with their masks on and everybody is keeping social distancing. And so we ask Allah to protect us all from this disease and from all of the different bad and ill effects that it causes our society. Ameen. So today we're talking about battling ourselves, the struggle against our own selves, the ultimate struggle, the real struggle of life. At the end of the day, the ayah from Surah, I think it's Muddathir, Kullu nafsim bima kasabat rahina. Every single soul is responsible for itself, just like someone who has entered into a contract and they owe somebody else money, you see? And so when we read in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ وَأَنفُسَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ, that God has bought from those who have embraced Him in faith their selves and their wealth in exchange for heaven. So أنفسهم, their selves. So the question is, what is a self? In this book that we've been studying, Manahij fi Tazkiyat al-Nufus, the different methodologies of purifying the souls, we find that the word nafs in Arabic could carry various meanings, and there's a whole debate among scholars. But in essence, here today, when we're referring to nafs, we're talking about the self, the ego, the me in my mind, the part of my brain that wants what my body likes, right? The self. And so we are responsible for this self and how we treat this self. And when I say we, I'm talking about the soul, the mystical connection and bond of life as it relates to some sort of conscious, emotional, deep, moral, creative, thinking, philosophical, conscious being that was created by God and put into this body, and that will struggle with the body's self, the mind that is functioning like an animal, that it wants what it wants, and will try to utilize the blessing and the test of our creative faculties to do what we want and our free will, to do things that serve just simply the body or the selfish desire of the person who is living in this body. The trick of this is that in so many cases, you will think, like for example, if you want to lie, you have this feeling to lie. And that's coming from the self. Because God, خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ. He created the entire heavens and the earth in truth. Everything is very quantifiable and understandable because God created it in truth. When you study the science, it's very particular and exact. It's not like some misleading, confusing thing. You see what I'm saying? So we will get the desire to lie. And immediately, that lie will probably get us out of some trouble or make us look really cool, right? But in the long term, that's going to create problems for us. People around us will figure out that we're lying. Like when we come up and then our parents catch us lying, after it's happened many times, now you have no what? Once you've been caught lying many times, how do people feel about you? They don't trust you. You're not trustworthy now. Now you're all upset because now you want things to go according to a plan or a suggestion or a claim that you're making. And the people who have found you to be lying before are saying, no, I can't expect you will do that. Like, but why? So you have created now the long term. Yourself has created a long-term problem for you, right? So for example, with alcohol and drugs, just drink some of this, everybody's doing it's college, it's relax, chill, smoke on this one. But then you can make major mistakes. We see all the statistics of the harms that come from alcohol drinking, whether it be mental, physical, or behavioral and social, right? With alcohol and drugs, it's the small, short term tells you, oh, this will be good. Long term tells you, right? So all sins have a trick in them. that the devil will entice you. Look, if you just do this right now, it's okay. Nobody will know, right? If you've been caught stealing, right? Then what are we going to be when something's missing? What is everybody going to think? It was you, you know? So jihad as a concept is supposed to be uncomfortable. Jihad is uncomfortable. It is tough. It's not easy. But jihadun nafs is our calling. وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِ هُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ. Right? So he says, and struggle and strive in the sake of God, in the remembrance and desire to please God, to the best of your ability. So some of the scholars have commented haqqa jihadi, the best of struggle. They're saying the best of it is against yourself. And the reason why they're saying this specifically is because this ayah comes down in Mecca, right? And nobody understood this jihad to mean anything related to the fighting back against a foe. That came in Medina after now they're a state and they're feeling a threat of the foreigners. So huwajtabakum, you have been chosen to represent God as his representative, his viceroy in some sort of Star Wars sounding language. Okay? And so that's going to be tough. That's not easy in a world filled with evil inclinations. In a material world, you have to bring a spiritual truth. And spiritual is known to be akhirah. You know, it's far away. Dunya, dunu. Something close to you, something in your hands. What you have now, what you want now. The immediate gratification. So it's not easy. It's going to be something you'll have to work at. And so this is the manifestation of patience in so many ways. So the core, when you study the characters of Islamic character development and refinement, you'll find they overlap and interact in so many ways. So sabr, habsun nafs an al-makruh, to control yourself against something that you know will cause you problems, that you know you shouldn't do, right? But if you don't know you shouldn't do it, or you don't see the problem, then you will not have sabr. You just let yourself loose. Yourself will go loose. So you have to have this sense of a need for self-control. And you have to be able to look at the big picture of morality and benefit versus harm. And to be able to assess, so like there are many things, so like I'm raised as an American. In America, there are many normal customs that everybody's take as normal, but we see serious harms from it. So I can't say, well, everybody does that and that's normal. And look at all these educated people who seem very nice, who act nice. And so that's how they think and they do. So it should be good, right? And there are many things that people here say is bad, but it is actually good for you, right? So like Dalia Mujahid was on Trevor Noah's show, his comedy news show, and he was talking to her about hijab. And he said, you know, they're saying that this modest hijab thing that you're wearing, it's like oppression. So what do you say about that? And so she responded in a very profound way, very, prepared for this moment. And she said, well, first and foremost, for me, and as far as pretty much ever, I don't know of any other woman that has a different angle woman who is a grown spiritual person, that doesn't think that this is just my way of connecting with God according to his message about how is the ideal way of being modest and chaste, to be preserved and known as someone of intellect and spirituality, not to be seen as more of a sexual presentation. And so then she said, but I want to ask you a question. She said, when people are saying in a free society that respects people's rights and all of that, that the way for you to be free is to remove your chastity and modesty, then what does that say about the empowerment of a woman? And so Trevor was like, that the only way we can expect women to have anything is because they're sexy? And she was like, exactly. That's the culture you are promoting. And that's exactly what it is. So one side or the other, you have to have a means to gauge what is really the value of that thing. Because we can really philosophize and for a long time and really come out with the points of that's benefit and that's harm. And I would say this is, on the flip side, Western civilization has gone to far lengths to eradicate strange superstitious ideas about morality, and critical thinking has done a lot of benefit for the West. But still, as you see, there are many things here. And without revelation, you're always going to have this problem. Without spirituality and to see something greater than yourself that has control and is intertwined in its absolute form of knowledge and power and will and influence and compassion and mercy and care and concern, then you have to, give in to that. Otherwise, you would be claiming self-sufficiency. So it's about empowering the spiritual intellect. When we say spiritual intellect, it's mentioned in many ayahs in the Quran. Ulul absar, ulul albab, the people of insight, the people of deep spiritual reflection. When you have scripture and revelation, and then you have your own experiences with your own self, and you see the experiences of people with their selves, then you have to empower the revelation's knowledge of right and wrong, which is divine and absolute, as it relates to people's circumstances. And so when that's empowered, then you can win. And so you have to, that the process of getting there is the jihad. Because it's not, nobody has that as the default setting. Everybody is having this essence of spirituality in us, the soul, we are a soul. And then we're struggling with experience of want and desire in the world of materialism. So that's why he says, after he said, struggle and strive to the best of your ability in the sake of God, as he has called you for it, he says, وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. So don't start to say, well, this is too difficult. Because number one, people that were worse than us have done this. Do you not remember who Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl was? Shall I say Umar ibn al-Khattab? And these were some messed up people. This, astaghfirullah, like it's hitting you in a strange way right now. But they were very evil, corrupt people. Murderous, hateful, rude, uncanny people. And then through the jihad, they became the greatest of all time that we're looking to reach their level. But they started out worse than me and you. So why is it hard? It's not hard. But you have to make that journey. You have to take that struggle. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. It's the end of Surah Al-Ankabut. Another ayah that is mentioned in Mecca before there was any struggle of a military notion. It says, those who struggle and strive in our cause. And when God says we, this is indicating a very important aspect of his actions. So those who struggle and strive in our way, in us, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلًا. And he used the emphasis, we will surely guide them to many paths that we have made to heaven. Many paths. There are subul, as-salam. There are many paths to heaven. For the mujahid, he or she sees all of those in front of them. For the other one, they're just trying to find one. Because they're not winning, they're not fighting that battle. The first battle starts with yourself. And so at the end of the ayah, he says, وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ لَامَ الْمُزَحْلَقَ لِلتَّوْكِيد. It goes with inna. Inna, surely, truly, indeed, God is without a doubt with those who are altruists, those who reject themselves. Al-Muhsin is rejecting himself in favor of others. And here we are talking about the ego, because he's benefiting his soul, his nafs, al-ruh, by doing this, because he is tying into Ar-Rahman, and he is doing the work of Rahmah. But it starts with a mentality of ihsan. I am not in this world for myself. I'm looking for ways to help other people out. So those who study the religion and act accordingly. Some of the scholars said, what does it mean? Jahadu fina, that those who really study the religion and they follow up that with their actions. الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ فِيمَا يَعْلَمُونَ. This is the way they commented on this ayah. So guidance can truly only be owned. If we say لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ, in Arabic, it's very strong language of with we as well. So if you really want guidance, it's only going to be won through a hard struggle. You're going to only get there. But once you get over that aqaba, as it says in Surah Al-Balad, okay, once you get over it, now it becomes normal. So Omar, during the seerah, you see many times he's ready to cut some guy's head off, and the Prophet's like, hold on, man, relax. What are you doing? Right? Listen to the situation and then now we see when he was the ruler, he was making very precise decisions of justice, in many cases supporting Christians over Muslims. Not just any Muslim, Quraysh Muslims. Like people who come from the tribal mentality, he says, I should try to make a way for him. But Omar is like, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You know, we're not going to accept this. In a theocracy, I don't know of other theocracies where I know of the Christian Roman Empire. I don't know of any examples where the Muslims are like, hey guys, this is what this Christian guy is doing to me. And then the Pope was like, yeah, we support the Muslim here. I didn't hear of any of that. This is something only one who has realized that they don't own religion. God is not something part of them and their culture or their nation state. But in fact, their nation state and their individual reality within it is in full submission and servitude and humble need, poor to the core of that great force that has the right to make decisions. So the Muslims are never going to win any external wars until we are winning the internal war. Salah ad-Din Ayyubi spent 17 years before he decided to go deal with Jerusalem and the Crusaders. And it's mentioned that they went through a very rigid spiritual regimen. Those soldiers have been planning and raised up in the wars of the imperial world that they lived in. But Salah ad-Din said, I want to hear in every tent that people are doing Qiyam Layl. I want to see you sacrifice your sleep for the sake of God. I want to see people going out of their way to help others. I want to see people who are dedicated to the Quran and studying it and living by it. And then when that happened, they went to Quds and there was no need for any serious fight. So we have to be fearful of the stature and place of our nurturer, as we read in the Salah. This is about rejecting our own selfish desires. وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. So whoever fears the place of their nurturer, مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. So I think this is the understood, and every time when he talks about, khafuni, khafu maqami is what he means by it. Don't fear God. God is loving, compassionate, merciful, caring. He is al-hadi. He wants you to, but you will make decisions that unfortunately go against everything he's told you and what he wants for you. لا يرضى لعباده الكفر. He's not pleased for anyone to turn away. He doesn't want that. He displeases all of that. Kariha man. Who does he dislike? All of those qualities. So it is the one who chose not to care about the responsibility we are entrusted with our own account of ourself. And so if we're not thinking, he's my creator, he's my provider, he's all aware, he's all powerful, he's just, and I will stand before him and he will call me to account with full justice, with full mercy. How do I get there? I have to وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. And they prevented themselves or prohibited themselves from the desires that they have. So the commentary on this says, there has to be a sense of tremble, of fear, of self-blame, a feeling of disgust with oneself when you do a sin, or when you speak of a sin, or when you're around a sin, or even when you think of a sin. You have to feel this sense of, at that moment, you are fearful. there's something wrong here. I can't believe I'm thinking. I can't believe I just happened. I can't believe I'm sitting here watching this. Astaghfirullah. You see? That mentality is the battle. Because we're living in a society that makes many things normal. And so we have to avoid it. I mean, even in the culture of Muslims, a lot of times we normalize backbiting. You just be sitting there, this one talk about that one, this one talk about, nobody stopped anybody from doing anything. We have to be like, astaghfirullah, what is happening here? Why are we listening to any of this? So the Prophet defined the mujahid. Al-mujahid man jahada nafsahu fillah. The true fighter, the true warrior is the one that fought themselves. This is a definitive approach of describing the morality that we're talking about. If we truly want success, we have to engage in self-control, and we have to help each other in it, and we have to be ready to fight in piety. That success is all in that. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون لعلكم تفلحون. So ayah is saying, O you who believe, O you who have claimed faith, you must engage in self-control, patience, perseverance, fortitude. And you must help others in doing that. And you must create the necessary weapons and tools and methods and means to win the battle. And be pious and mindful of God so that you can succeed. So the scholars, they have two camps. Some of them looking at this as the Ahl al-Kitab are keeping the plots to organize with others against them. And other scholars said, no, but at the end of the day, Ahl al-Kitab went through a change, and we could very well fall into that same pit. So if you read Surah Al-Imran, learn the lessons. Be careful before you fall into that one. Stick with the community. Have the knowledge. Because sabr, as we said, it cannot be based on random patience. It has to be rooted in revelation. So the danger of the self and the necessity of fighting it, that's the trick of the devil. If you're not aware that there's a danger in your own thought process, if you're not aware of this and you dismiss that, you're going to lose. The devil's going to get you on one issue or another. He may get you on a lot of minor issues and then it piles up. Or he'll get you on a big one that you weren't expecting because you were just thinking before, it's just some thoughts I have. It's no big deal what I do here, but this is a way of thinking to submit to the self, the mind's desires, the body's desires, to be having what it wants now. Ibn al-Qayyim, he explained it. He said, the ego is like a massive mountain with rough terrain on the straight path to God. So imagine this giant mountain, as far as you can see this way and that way, and as far as you can see up. And the path goes on it straight up. And there's all kind of slopes and slips and dips and ravines. And there's, sharp edges. And there's actually looters as well. There are hijackers on this path. But that's the only way to get to heaven, is straight over. If you try to go around, you won't even get around and you'll die and you will not be on that path. You'll be lost with no direction, with no path. You will have thought, I will take the easy way around here, and then you will fail. So whoever did not embrace faith with certainty will certainly fall victim to these dangers. Satan calls us to avoid this path and to just take life as it's just fun and easy and no big deal. There's no struggle involved. No need to struggle with yourself. Enjoy yourself. Between the servant and true happiness, he said there's 4 qualities. He said strong determination. Quwwatul azima. Strong determination. I'm going to do this. I'm going to defeat the devil. I'm going to defeat myself. And I'm going to serve God. Sabru sa'a. Patience when it counts. Patience as sadmatul ula, as the Prophet said. It's easy to go back and reflect on it and be like, I should have been patient. But when the thing hits, that's when you know you're doing the jihad. When you're faced with the thing that's annoying and bothersome and you don't like it, and then the way you react is with patience, with understanding, with wisdom, seeking the good in it, and then you have won that battle. And then he says, shaja'atun nafs. Here he's talking about the soul. that you have to have a courageous soul that's willing to fight for what's right no matter what anybody says, that will stand on principle. And thabatul qalb, that you have this heart firmly rooted in faith. Imam al-Ajurri, he explained this whole thing. He said the self is like a strong thoroughbred. Imagine a horse. It's very big and strong and beautiful. And just, you can see this beautiful horse. And so many people will look at it and say, wow, that thing is amazing. Let me just jump on it and ride it. I bet you it can go very fast. As many people will think like that. But Ahlul Basira, the people inside will say, that horse is a very large, powerful beast that has not been tamed. And I don't yet know how to tame horses, so I'm not going to ride him until either I learn or I watch somebody else train this beast. You see? So he's saying that's like the nafs. Some people just let it go. This is me, and that's how I feel. That's what I want to do, and it's all good. I always says, I'm right. I know I'm this, and it's fine. It's me. The other one's like, why did I think that? Maybe there's something I need to fix about this. There's dangerous consequences in front of this scenario. So the battle is three scenarios. Most everybody is in a constant war. Every believer, most of them, are in this constant war, winning some and losing some. Just feeling like, now I got that one, and then, oh man, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Astaghfirullah. And they're in repentance, inshallah. And then there's an unfortunate scenario where the person's desire overcomes the source of religion, the heart, the soul, and revelation. So one's desire has decided this truth in my heart, my existence as a soul and my hereafter, and this revelation in this prophet. I mean, it sounds nice and I believe in it, but I'm busy with life. I'm busy with the stuff I have in this world. I don't have time for all of that. I don't have time to spend thinking about those things. And then there is al-awliya, al-muhsinin. And these are the people who have fought so hard that they find themselves in a daily reality with very rare exceptions that they have control. They have this zimam, the reins of their self, and it's only going to say or do or even think in a way that is rooted in some revelation or learned lessons from life experience towards the better, with the big picture, planning for the hereafter and death. So this is our talk, inshallah. If we have any questions, I'm glad to take any questions, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah protect us all on the straight path. Ya Allah, we ask you to give us the firm resolve to be your servants, those that witness your truth by reading the message of the Holy Quran that you have spoken into us and into our experience, that we may know the path to you, that we may follow your beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that we take his example and those pious, righteous people who took from him, that we may live a life that is pleasing to you and be ready for our time when it comes. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.